Hi everyone, this is Kavitha. Welcome back to episode 4 of our Unwired series. Today we're going to be talking about how to make events even more special. Who doesn't love a good event? Events are a very special part of our lives, whether in our personal lives or at work, because we always associate events with memories, something we did, or the way it made us feel. When it comes to the business world, let's think about what it takes to deliver an impeccable experience for your audiences. And joining me today is Shabana Mohamed, our director for events. Shabana has been with me for many years now and truly has been a very, very strong pillar with our events team and brings to the table valuable experiences. So, together, we're going to be taking a few questions we've received and answering those.
Thank you, Kavitha. Thank you for having me here.
So, Shabana, shall we get ready to answer some of the
Sure.
important questions?
Yes.
Okay, let's go. So, the first question: events are a big part of marketing. What sets a good event apart from the rest? Is it location, healthy spends, or the content? Maybe I'll answer this one, Shabana. I think it's a mix of all three. You definitely need a good location because people want to go to nice places, they want to be seen at good places, and they want to experience something different. Healthy spends is a yes or a no, depending really on how clever you are at it. Not every high spending event is actually great, and not every low spend event is actually poor. That's where you need to really sit and think about how you're dealing with this. Content, of course, very important because you want to hold people in the room for definitely more than 10 minutes. So, what you say really matters. Moving on, we have another question. I think probably a lot of people have asked you, are events the best way to go to market? Or what would you suggest is the best approach? In my view, events are a good way to go to market, but should not be the first way to go to market. I think we get asked many times by customers who are just entering the market who say they want to do an event. And our advice, and you would agree, Shabana, has always been spend first on getting your brand name out, spend on being a name that's recognized, and then follow it up with an event. Now, important question. I think Shabana would be a good person to answer this. This is the story of everybody's lives. I have a limited budget, but I want to host events for C-level executives. Can you suggest ways that I can do this in ways that's budget friendly, but yet attracts a right level of audience?
Yeah. So earlier, we used to approach only typical event venues or convention centers just for to host our events, but these days is quite flexible. And then the biggest challenge the event industry or us is facing these days are client will form a budget without considering the timeline, the execution,
Exactly.
the timeline, and they all need high impact if experiential events. And at the end of the day, how somehow we'll have to turn it around and just to deliver them. So these days, what we can do instead of looking at a typical event venues, we can go to a non-traditional venue. It can be like an activity area, it can be like an outdoor venue with fun-filled activities. However, at some point we may not get the same satisfaction like a proper typical event venues provide, but we'll have to compromise something or the other. So I think there are options now.
Also, maybe do you feel when you take people into a non-traditional setting, somehow they feel more relaxed? So maybe it can lead to better conversations in a less formal environment.
Yeah, see, these days people are they all the audience are similar. Whoever, let's say, if a next client invites someone and a Y client invites someone, it's at the end of the day it's the same audience. So all of them are kind of bored with the typical events and also sitting in the room for like hours and hours listening to the presentation. So they all prefer some sort of engagement. So I think now what we have initiated, we already proposed to many clients and we have executed similar kind of events, and the result is really good. Actually, people were really happy and satisfied.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes a lot of
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
So you've heard from her on a way to tackle the budget issue. Moving on, the next question says, how can we ensure that event services we offer as agencies generate meaningful business outcomes rather than simply creating visibilities? This is very important because I'm assuming before you've gone ahead and done an event, you've done a lot of background work. You need to think about who you're inviting, why are you inviting them, what is it going to give you for the business, and what are you going to give that audience. So list management, mapping that against your business prospects, and ultimately checking, people who attended versus non-attended, and thinking back on how you can nurture these, whether they came and you can move them along in the sales cycle, or if they didn't attend, you need to think about why they didn't attend. And I think, Shabana, you will agree.
Yes.
You are seeing a lot of very vertical, very specialized events that you've been managing for clients these days.
Absolutely.
So tell me something. What is a very important point when you're defining an event in terms of checklists for clients?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
So, okay, say understanding. Okay, so first thing, let me go by point. First, we will have to understand the objective of the event from the client, whether it can be a customer engagement, it's a brand awareness, or a lead marketing, lead generation campaign, or it could be an internal engagement. So second thing, we'll have to understand the audience, the nature of the audience, the geography of the audience. Based on that, we can form like an experiential design of the event or concept, whatever. But getting to know about the audience nature is really, really, really important.
Mm-hmm.
And third and the foremost thing, which is the budget. Again, like I said before, I would like to repeat it again. Many of the clients, they're without thinking the timeline, and they all want like really, really good experience at an event, but the budget constraints are always there. So in case if they need like a really high end event, they need to, that we'll have to support the client as well. So understanding the budget is the third point. And then fourth would be timeline and milestones. We'll have to set up a timeline and milestone. And fifth, I would say vendor management. The second,
Good
like
point.
really biggest event industry challenges, one of the industry challenges will be the last minute, let's say staying agile with last minute requirements.
Absolutely.
So we really need to have like strong vendor relationships. We are glad that we do have
True.
quite a lots of like good suppliers who supports us on a regular basis. So that's the thing. And at the end of the day, like we need to have like a good team to work around. So these are the main key factors. Yeah, there are furthermore, but I think these are the main key factors what we have.
I agree.
One more thing, maybe like, let's say in case if like the last minute, if there any last minute disruption or anything happen, we always need to have like a risk and contingency plan. Let's say if, because of a weather.
In fact, that's actually going to be the next question.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
no problem. So
But,
I think like these are the main key factors that we have to.
So I
keep in
really
mind.
agree here with what Shabana is saying. And one of the things she does as an events director is really rally the team to be always prepared. Things will happen, things will go wrong, there will be stress on the event flow. But her motto has always been find a way to sort it. I think that sort of sums up your checklist in a very beautiful way. Whatever happens, make it happen. Now, she did mention about having contingency plans, and the next question talks about this. How do you manage risk and develop contingency plans to ensure smooth execution, particularly for high profile or large scale events? For this, it actually takes a lot of planning. And one of the ways that has helped us over the years is to have very strong partners or vendors that we work with. You have to do your due diligence. You need to know who you're working with. And if it's a high risk, high profile event, our motto has generally been work with people who have always delivered for you. We minimize using new suppliers at critical points. Of course, we always work with new suppliers, we give a chance for everybody, but you have to think about the pool that you're going to use. Who is going to be the best equipped if there are issues? Who's going to be able to manage last minute challenges? and who can you rely on without a lot of hand holding, and who understands your clients. In terms of budgets, again, Shabana has addressed it. You need to have budgets, but you definitely need to make sure there's budget for last minute contingencies.
Yeah.
Maybe you've had more customers. We've had situations, Shabana,
Yeah.
we've had more customers who turn up.
True.
uh,
It's not always with the suppliers, it's always with the venues as well. Let's say if you planned an outdoor event, suddenly the weather acted very bad. So we'll have to switch the venue to an indoor venue. So we need to have some sort of plan, and we have to be prepared with that.
Right. And
Yeah.
this is a conversation you have with venues as well,
Yes,
right? Saying,
exactly. Yeah.
what
we
can we
always
do?
have a backup plan. Yeah.
So talk about your backup plan with venues. Talk about your backup plan with suppliers. If it's a late night event, maybe even with your printers, saying you may need to reprint, keep the press open. These are the kind of conversations that you need to have. Uh, Next, moving on, again, when you use a supplier ecosystem, sourcing is a very important thing.
Yeah.
Which means, you're constantly looking for people, stand builders, printers, suppliers. So the question really, Shabana, when you plan an event, do you rely on internal teams, external partners, or do you go for a combination of both? How do you put it together?
It has to be a combination of both, actually. So even in terms of supplier, we choose supplier based on, see, we build a trust with the supplier. And first of all, we don't have, in case if we are an agency where we don't have any in-house resources, we'll have to always rely on outside
Right.
vendors, external vendors. So 100% trust has to be on them. And along with that, obviously the team who's coordinating with them. So it has to be a combination of both.
So which means you can't completely outsource without
Yes.
having your
Yes.
teams involved.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it doesn't mean you have to do everything in house as well.
Yes, yes. So let's say supplier, it's not necessary a supplier knows what we exactly want. Even lesson doesn't matter. You put them in a 3D concept or 2D concept, you set a project plan, but still one of our team members has to be capable of explaining to them, unless they just gonna sit and execute what
You're
what is
told
there
to
and
do.
what we ask them to do.
Right.
So I think the team coordination is also a key factor as well.
Right. Good one. So next, we touched briefly upon teams. So we're going to talk about how do you actually then keep teams that are working on events and your creative teams engaged when you're doing, event planning or going through the mill, as we say. So one of the things that you need to understand sometimes is events can be very quickly delivered, planned and delivered once.
Yeah.
Or we could have events where we're working on something for a period of 3 months maybe, or even 4 months. So the important thing is to keep people engaged in the process, where your creative teams can keep thinking. And we all know how the story goes. Clients are very quick to come back with changes. They may not like what you present.
Yeah.
So the important thing is not to feel disheartened. You need to be interested in the project, because every rejection or every acceptance from the client should push you on to learn something more. So one of the things that we do as a team is we encourage our creative team to constantly research. If they have free time, they can look at things, bring us ideas. We have sessions where we do some blue sky thinking. We'd like a lot more time, but as we go from one project to the other.
Yeah.
We also ask them to talk to their friends if they've been for events at venues that they've enjoyed, they've seen something. So we compile images and pictures and look at things and see how we can do it. So that's one of the ways. Again, with events teams, we try hard to make sure everybody has ownership of their projects, or at least are being mentored and led by senior people. So I think motivation, Shabana, you'd say, is a mix. You have to be self-motivated, but
Yes.
also
Yeah, a person, let's say, being in this industry or who has a work experience for more than, like, let's say 3 or 4 years, they have to be self-motivated as well. So all you can mentor them, but at the end of the day, they have to invest on themselves. So
Right.
that's what I think.
So the bottom line is that the events business is not rocket science.
Mhm.
It's a very people's business. It's something that relies on you putting your own effort and making the experience better for your customer. So I think it offers a lot of potential. but at the same time needs you to really work a lot harder on these things. And finally, we're coming to the last question now. What trends do you see in event planning, and what are your words of encouragement to someone out there who's deciding to get into the events industry? So maybe I'll say something and we'll close it with what Shabana has to say. The event industry, guys, is hard, and it takes a lot of time and effort to deliver an impeccable experience. So, one of the things that you need to keep in mind when it comes to the event industry is long hours. You don't have 9 to 5. You have to be fully engaged in the process. You are at the front end of handling your client, and you are at the receiving end. So you need to have a very, very open mind. The trend that I say we are seeing is events are getting larger, Shabana, you would say, more experiential.
Yeah, earlier there used to be a lots of like one-on-one events or account-based events, but now rather even you can say that in the market also the budgets has been shrunken. So people prefer to do, let's say, in a year maybe 2 or 3 bigger
Right.
events than doing small scale events. So yeah, that's the
So
trend,
which
I
means
think.
they become more experiential, and
Yeah.
focused on brand activation. But the positives are that it's a very vibrant industry. You're constantly learning.
Yes.
No two events are the same. No two challenges are the same. And this is really all about the creativity you bring to the table. And for young people out there, I would say, when you enter the industry, work hard to sort of build your portfolio and your body of work. Don't cling on to saying that this is my project delivered by you end to end. So go with the team mindset. And I think the fact that we all work together is what makes an event ultimately really special.
Yes, you're right.
So thank you, Shabana, for joining
Thank you,
me.
Kavitha. Thank you
And
so much. Yeah, together, let's see. We'll
what
have
we
a
can
good
do
year.
together. Thank you. Thank you so much.